So I hope you're doing extremely well today. I am making a video that I debated on making because it's very personal. Definitely makes me feel very, very vulnerable, especially putting it on the internet. I'm a very private person. Probably wouldn't think so because I make YouTube videos, but I like to keep my personal life very private, my family very private. So the videos that you see is just a glimpse, definitely not anything in relation to my private life. I decided to go ahead and make this video because I want to bring awareness to this topic, because if I can even, bring awareness to one person and that person gets the medical attention that they need and they don't have to, go through this when it's too late. Let me get it together for a minute. I feel very vulnerable, like I said, talking about this. I was diagnosed with uterine fibroid tumors, and before, I had never ever heard of this term. I had never met anyone that had fibroid tumors before. Like I said, I had never heard of it, so I was kind of in shock. So let me tell you what they are. Uterine fibroid tumors are tumors made of muscle cells in fibrous tissue. And they're mostly, or I think they're only found in your uterus, obviously if you're a woman. Some of the symptoms are, for example, very heavy periods. I mean, so heavy that they're also very painful. I have a list, so let me read it to you. Feeling of fullness in the pelvic area, enlargement of the lower abdomen, frequent urination, pain during sex, lower back pain. Fibroid tumors are not going to go away on their own. You definitely need medication and treatment, but I guess the catch is that you want to know that you have fibroid tumors, in the early stages so that you can get the appropriate treatment. Depending on the type of fibroid tumors found in the uterus kind of dictates the treatment that you're going to be offered or, get. So some of them can be inside along the lining or just outside of your uterus. So depending on the kind of fibroid tumors that are found is how the gynecologist is going to proceed. The cause of fibroid tumors is unknown, so they could literally be triggered by anything. Essentially, there's not anything that you could be doing to prevent them because we don't know why they happen. So obviously living a healthy lifestyle is a good factor, but I personally live quite healthy, so yeah. But anyway, let's talk about my experience and how I found out and just all that fun stuff. So last year I went in for a wellness check and I told my healthcare provider I have, like a raised area along my pelvic area, and I let her know that was a concern for me, and she kind of felt it, looked at it and said, well, do you need to pee? And I'm constantly drinking water, so yeah, I'm always needing to pee. So I thought, yeah, I probably do need to urinate. And so I told her, yeah, I probably do. So she ruled anything out and just said it's probably just a full bladder. So I went home, thought nothing of it. And then it was time for my annual wellness check this year, and I still had, let's call it a lump, but not really. It's quite big. But again, I told, and it was the same doctor from the previous year, I told her, hey, I still have, this lump, and I made sure to urinate so I know that it's not my bladder. And she felt it around, and she, took a minute. And then she said, I think you may have what is called uterine fibroid tumors. So, I mean, I went by myself because I wasn't expecting anything. At first, I was like, okay, I was quite shocked, I'm not gonna lie. So I was definitely scared, but she didn't confirm 100%. So she told me that I had to go get an ultrasound. I went in, I think like 4 days later, that's as soon as they could get me in, I went in for an ultrasound, and the tech that was there, you know, I'm very curious, I like to ask a lot of questions, and as I was laying there, I asked her, oh, you know, can you see anything? Does anything look abnormal? I don't think she was supposed to share some information that she shared with me, but I appreciate that she did. She said, you have fibroids. So she did let me know that one of the fibroids that she was looking at was extremely large for a person of my height and weight. And I mean, immediately I'm just a nervous ball of nerves, and I just try to be calm, play it cool. So she was practically telling me, oh, these are quite big. Anyway, you know, freaked me out. So then I am referred to a gynecologist. All of the symptoms that I named earlier, I have all of those. And she, you know, wrote them down, and at the time she didn't have the lab results of the ultrasound, so she was just talking to me about fibroid tumors, what they are, etc. And when she asked me if I had the results with me of the ultrasound, unfortunately I didn't have them printed, but I had them on my phone. So Anthony was with me at this time. He pulled them up on his phone, and I'm not gonna cry. He showed her the results of the ultrasound, and she was just kind of like, okay, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, you have so many fibroid tumors that they can't even see your uterus in the ultrasound, which is not something you want to hear if you like ever want to have kids. If you know me, you know that I have always been on the fence about having children. So I never 100% have said, no, I don't want kids, or 100% said, yes, I want kids. So I've always been debating the idea. So when you hear that, you know, your uterus, you have so many fibroid tumors, you know, lining your uterus inside, outside, that they can't even see it, she let me know, because in the lab result, it shows the size, well, it showed the size of the two biggest ones, and the biggest one is the size of a softball. The other one was the size of a baseball, and who knows how big the others are because they couldn't really see them with the ultrasound. So she just continued talking to me about, you know, the results, and she practically just said, this is how fibroid tumors are typically treated. There's a handful of options. For example, there are hormones that can be taken, something called like chemically induced menopause, which if you're trying to conceive, you definitely don't want that option. There is also the option of getting a hysterectomy, but that's completely removing your uterus, so again, you can't really conceive. So a lot of the options, you know, have pros and cons, and really it came down to the last two-ish options, which is you can get the fibroid tumors removed via a laparoscopic surgery, which means you get some small incisions along your abdominal area, and they are able to go in and robotically cut these fibroid tumors off. And you know, that's probably the best option for someone who wants them completely removed, that is trying to get pregnant. And then she kind of just told me that the worst option, and the one that they, you know, don't like to start people on, that's kind of like last resort, is an abdominal myomectomy, which is practically where they cut your pelvic area and they completely take your uterus out of your body and remove all of the fibroid tumors, and then stitch it all back up and put it back into your stomach, you know, your body. So that's the worst option, because during surgery, she let me know, she was very upfront, during surgery, if they are, you know, operating, removing the fibroid tumors, and if for whatever reason you bleed too much to the point where you could die because you're bleeding so much, of course you're going to remove your uterus. But if you don't have a uterus, again, you cannot conceive, you cannot get pregnant. So that's what she let us know. And she also said that, you know, let's say surgery went well, everything looks good, but because I have so many fibroid tumors that after surgery, you know, my uterus could be way too damaged that even if, you know, once it's put back in my stomach and it heals, it could be too damaged to even conceive. And then one thing that I forgot to mention earlier is before she gave me all of the options, she said that my option was, you know, an abdominal myomectomy, because of all the fibroid tumors that I have. Even if I were to conceive now and get pregnant, there would be absolutely no way that I would be able to carry baby full term, which that essentially would result in a miscarriage. And I mean, of course that's not an option. I don't want to get pregnant and see if I can have a baby, because, you know, a gynecologist is telling me that's not my best option. So we're gonna have to go with the surgery. And today, actually, I went in for an MRI of my pelvic area with and without contrast. So she's going to be getting the results of the MRI from today in like 2-3 days. So she may get them over the next week. And then I have to go in for an appointment after she reads the lab results, so that she can tell me, you know, how many fibroid tumors I have and just kind of what to expect for surgery. When I was in to see her, you know, she had me remove my bottom clothes, like my pants, my underwear, and she physically had to examine me. And she told me that my fibroids are so big that it looks like I'm, what did she say, 18 weeks pregnant. So that's like 4.5 months pregnant. I already look like someone that is 4.5 months pregnant. Let me show you what my stomach looks like when I'm lying down, because when I lay down is when you can see them the most. So I honestly don't know if I should feel ashamed that I didn't notice this sooner, but personally, to me, I just thought that, you know, I just was chunky in my stomach area because it was like hard. I just thought it was, you know, fat along my stomach lining, so I never really thought much of it. But I do think they've been growing because my stomach did not used to look like that. So they definitely need to be removed, because otherwise they're gonna keep growing, and not doing anything is not an option. But here's another crappy thing that happened to me. I've had blood drawn, all that fun stuff, and in the last blood draw, in the results, she said that my prolactin levels are quite high. Usually prolactin is anywhere from 5 to 23, and mine's at a 30. So that's definitely a concern, because prolactin can lead to prolactinoma, which is practically a benign tumor in the pituitary gland, which is practically your brain. I mean, I read the results yesterday because she sent me an email, and mentally I was just all over the place. Like, mentally, emotionally, I was just upset. I don't like to be pitied, and I don't like to play, you know, the victim card and the why me, because I could sit here and say why me, and I hate life and I hate everything, but that's not going to do, you know, anything for anyone. But I emotionally, mentally, I just couldn't handle it, because it was like one bad thing after another, and I just sat here. Luckily Anthony was at work, so I just sat here and cried for practically the whole day. Because it's like, you found fibroid tumors in your uterus, but you could also have a tumor in your brain. So it's kind of like, there's only so much that a person can take before you start feeling like everything is just horrible. So I had a crappy day yesterday. Luckily Anthony came home and, you know, he's great. He immediately made me feel so much better. He's so nice. He ordered me a bunch of snacks, you know, and just sat here with me and just reassured me that we're gonna get through this, which, you know, I believe in a higher power. I believe in God. I know I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be fine. And it's just a matter of believing that everything is gonna be fine. But still, there's always that chance that something can go wrong. And yesterday, I mean, I was spiraling. I went down a rabbit hole of worst case scenario and possibilities. And I definitely don't want to do that. So I'm trying to stay positive, trying to think of the best, and just, I know everything's gonna be okay. But like I said at the beginning of this video, I am making this video so that you are aware of you know, uterine fibroid tumors, in case you have any of these symptoms and you don't know why, or maybe you have some of them, or, you know, you never know. Maybe your friend, your aunt, your cousin, your mom, your sister, your grandma, someone maybe, you know, could have fibroids and they don't know. And the fact that we're talking about this now, I think that's a step in the right direction. I used to be someone who hated going to the doctors because I hated how expensive it was. And I'd rather just say, you know what, if I really need to go, I'll go when I'm like dying, you know? But now I see it in a completely different way. Anything that is for my health, I do not mind spending money on. So if you are, you know, how I used to be, I definitely would say, please get seen, get checked out. And you have to be your biggest advocate, because if you think something is wrong, more than likely there may be something wrong, but you have to push, you know, for your health yourself. Like I said, you know, the first year she practically dismissed my concerns, but this year when I went in, I definitely let her know, hey, I'm concerned about this. And lo and behold, it did turn out to be something serious. So I mean, I know this isn't a happy video or a video that you expected to see today, but I do hope that it brought some awareness and that more people talk about this, because it needs to be talked about. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will just see you in the next one. Hopefully it'll be a, you know, happy video. But toxic positivity is also not something that I want to participate in. If I'm sad, if I'm upset, if I'm angry, I want to feel those emotions. I don't want to pretend like everything is okay when it's not, because then it just creates this toxic positivity. And yeah, like I said, mentally I have not been well, but I'll get through it, and I have options. I'm just hoping that if you are one of the unlucky women that have fibroid tumors, that you catch them in the early stages, because had I known, I probably would not need an abdominal myomectomy today. I could have had, you know, medicine for it, or could have even opted for the laparoscopic surgery. But because I'm finding out about this past my mid-20s, my options are quite limited. And yeah, so like I said earlier, I don't know yet if I ever want to have children, or if I don't, I'm literally on the fence. But it's so frustrating when that option is no longer yours to make, because it's gonna be made for you. But next week I'm gonna go back in with the gynecologist to talk about the next steps for surgery. Yeah, thank you for watching, and honestly, share this video. I don't even care about the views. I just want people to talk about this topic. Otherwise, you know, you're gonna find yourself in a situation that you may not want to be in. So anyway, have a great day. I will see you in the next one. Bye.